Kevin, if you are an advocate for black men, if you are an advocate for black men like you say, why are you not encouraging black men to go back to school or stay in school and get their PhD so they can take their rightful place on the throne next to us? Why are you asking us to step down so he can step up? Why are you telling us to take off our crown instead of telling him to put his on? Hello, darlings. I am Dr. Cassandra. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming. Today's video is a little bit different, but it's something I have to do for my soul. Otherwise, my ancestors, my spirit, my higher self won't let me do other things that I really want to do that are fun and that I would say that are fun. So I want to talk about, I know a lot of you are familiar with Kevin Samuels. He's a YouTuber who talks about, in my opinion, why black women should just pretty much go to the gym, shut up, and make a sandwich and find a black man to make a sandwich for, basically. And I don't know where to start with this video, but I just want to, because there's so much, there's just so much. So just for the sake of just like hopefully not doing a lot of editing, I want to just jump right in here and talk about why black women are masculine, why we have strong masculine energy. So I don't know if you guys have heard of a book that's called the Willie Lynch letter, How to Make a Slave. And in this book, this is during the 1700s. Now guys, I'm not good with dates, but basically they were these Europeans came over and said, look dude, you can't waste these people that you have spent so much money on over there to get. In order to preserve them or to take care of them, you don't break them physically. Because I think he came over and he saw a man like dangling from a tree, and he said, look dude, this is just not how you do it. You break his spirit, you don't break his back. I'm putting it in my own words now because I want to just knock this right out. So he said, a man is innately born free, and what you want to do is break his spirit. You want him to no longer desire to be free the way he was, he was born free, but you want to, if you don't break his spirit, you won't be able to sleep at night because he'll feel that he deserved the things that you have. So anyway, he said, the way you're going to do this is you're going to take the most revered African males and the most respected, most revered, and you're going to tar them, feather them, set them on fire, put them on horses going in opposite directions, and make sure that all of the women and children witness this, because what you're going to do is create you want to destroy the image of the black male so that the black woman would know that she cannot depend on her man to protect her. Because he said in all of nature, it is natural. In most species, the man protects his woman, or the male protects the female. He said, but we're going to reverse this natural state so that black women can become masculine, and black men, they will become weak-minded. Like they won't be like, maybe in terms of how we think of feminine, but they won't take on this masculine role. Okay. So he said, now after you tar and feather him and, put him on fire, there's going to be the next guy, the next African male who is revered, who's going to think, oh my God, this is horrible. We can't let this be. Remember, all of the other children and mothers, everybody is present because everyone has to see this. So he said, you beat them within 1 inch of their life. And guys, you can check this book out. I'll put a link in it right in the description box below, so it's like a really quick read. And he said, and then the next guy who comes up, you beat him within 1 inch of his life. You don't kill him, but you want them to witness him. Oh, and he said, make sure that you take off their clothes. I think they were already, you want to totally degrade and humiliate them. He said, what you're going to create now it's called let me make sure I get this term right. So I used to teach African American psychology, and it was on my test questions. It's called a frozen psychological state of independence. So a frozen psychological state of independence is when she witnessed that the black man, if he stands up to authority, to the patriarchal system. He is going to die. He's going to be destroyed. So she is going to teach the males to, to be strong in body. Like if he says go get all of the cotton, you go get all the cotton. Whatever he tell you to do, that's what you're supposed to do. You don't fight back, because if you fight back, then I'm going to lose you. So black women are pretty much raising their sons in a way to fear authority and not take on this role of leadership and a role as protector and provider for his family. But the other part of it is that the mothers would raise their daughters to be independent, because she's going to tell her, look, you know what, if he stand up, we all know he's going to lose his life. You can't depend on him. He's not going to be able to support you, provide for you. So after they would, do this whole destroying the image of the black male, he's in the book, it talks about how it's very important to make sure that the black woman submits to the slave master. He said you make sure that whenever you tell her to do something, that she does it. Because he said that the way you're going to control the Africans is by controlling the woman. Now, so basically, to me, without understanding this piece, I feel like, let's just talk about just how we continue to see this. When there was the Rodney King incident, that was again destroying this image. The guy who was killed on TV, and they kept playing it over and over again with the knee on his neck by the police officer, that was again destroying the image of the black man. So when you continually show African males, black males, where they are being abused by authority, black women continue to feel unprotected. Okay? So when she's unprotected, she becomes a breadwinner, and she's raising men who really are having a hard time reaching their full potential and being all that they need to be. So again, that's called the frozen state of psychological independence. And I think a lot of African American women, we do display this. And this is, and honey, if you, I don't want to patronize anybody who's watching this, I just want to say that, there's this saying that those who fail to know history are deemed to repeat it, or those, whatever that little saying is, but I have found it to be true. If you don't understand why things are the way they are, it's kind of hard to unravel them. So during this time, this is when they talked about putting good white blood into the black blood. So you want to give the different colors, and you want to make sure that they hate each other, the whole nine. So this whole system was set in place. He said until these Africans wake up, but they use other words, that this will go on throughout eternity, that they would never understand why they are the way that they are. So listen, the thing that hurt me, about some of the things that Kevin Samuel says, and I don't really want this to be about him per se, is that without understanding, while black men were, as the black woman, we, of course, let me just go back up. So not only did, they destroy this, these black men, and she's raising her sons to be fearful and her daughters to be strong. A lot of the black males who were like hard workers, who didn't ask a lot of questions, those were the breeders. So these were the guys who the slave master was asking to impregnate all of these women, because he would produce these workers that would get the job done. So when Kevin Samuels talk about Pookie is the breeder that happened, back in the day. He is the guy who was having all the kids with the slaves, with the African women, because that's what the master wanted him to do. And and just if you think about it, you're a guy and you're being demanded to go and sleep with all of these women to produce kids that you don't have to pay for, that you don't have to take care of, that you don't have to support. So a lot of what happened during that time period is still happening. It's still happening, people. And I'm not saying, listen, understand that if you read this book, you will see that this was all a plan that was put into place, and they're saying that unless black people become aware of how they're being conditioned and what is being done to them, this is going to go on throughout eternity. All right. So if you haven't read it, the book is in my description box. But this is the other thing. To me, while we were, having your kids, talking about my black man, having your babies, and you were in jail, child, and doing whatever it is you do, and impregnating whoever are you impregnated. We were there. We were keeping our families together. We were in school, and and I think it's just hilarious. I find it hilarious that you would put down, tease, denigrate, humiliate African American women who have chosen to educate themselves and get the highest degree possible to support her family, while, let me just say this, I don't know if you ever talk about these statistics, the number one child who's in special education around the United States is an African American male. I mean, you know that. Our prisons are filled with who? African American males. So this is my thing. So if the black woman is in school, she's trying to put food on her table, she's trying to take care of her family, what are black men supposed to do? Now, my thing is this. Kevin, if you are an advocate for black men, if you are an advocate for black men like you say, why are you not encouraging black men to go back to school or stay in school and get their PhD so they can take their rightful place on the throne next to us? Why are you asking us to step down so he can step up? Why are you telling us to take off our crown instead of telling him to put his on? Like, what's up with that? Why aren't you telling black men, it's time for you to stand by I don't mean just tell us to shut up, go on a diet, and make him a sandwich. Why not make him a man to reach his full potential, to be all that he is meant to be? Why aren't you telling him, listen, there are studies, tons of studies to show that all students learn best from people who look like them. Like if you are males, I'm talking about race and gender. So to me, I feel like if African American males would become teachers, this would get rid of at least 50% of our problems, especially with reading and writing and with, going to jail, depression, self-esteem. We need to be responsible for educating ourselves. There are so many programs looking for males. So even if he doesn't get a black male, just having a male teacher, but when does the African American male become responsible for reaching his full potential and being his highest and best self? What about him being that person? So to me, tell him to go to school. Tell him to stay in school. Tell him, hey, look, dude, I know a lot of times teachers don't make enough money, a lot of money, but just getting started, this is going to change the lives of so many young males. This is going to turn, like if you're a black guy who has made it, give back and teach K through 12. This is going to help black people. Get your PhD. Now, I understand from a historical and psychological perspective. Oh, let me just say this too. Mr. Kevin Samuels is always talking about going to school to major in sociology and psychology. These degrees are a waste of time. But as a matter of fact, I do have 2 master's degrees and a doctorate, darling, and I have a doctorate in psychology, and I am ABD in sociology with a master's degree. And those studies that you are quoting to beat us up and dog us out with, that's the people who majored in sociology and psychology. Those are our studies. So you're going to take our hard work to dog us out? You're literally, this is hilarious. You're telling us that our degrees are worthless, but yet the data that you are quoting and living by and bragging about, social scientists collect that data. So anyway, you need to stop. And the other thing is, it is so disgusting that anybody can make fun of anybody who got a PhD. Why would you make fun of that? There was a time when, as you know, that black people were killed for learning how to read. They would cut our tongues out. They would, we would lose an eye. We would die because we want to learn how to read. And here it is, we are going for the highest degree possible in our discipline. And then we have a black man of all people in the world putting us down for excellence. And the other thing to me is, I don't understand why. I don't think you would ever see any other ethnic group, a male, creating a platform with millions of viewers dogging out his own women. Like putting them down, calling them, just like some of the stuff is just really childish. The people who follow him, these are not males who are, if they were working on their PhDs, they wouldn't even have time to leave such trashy and immature comments. Like if they were doing something more with their lives, they wouldn't even be watching him. So, I'm just saying, Kevin, even a clock is right twice a day. And you have said some things that I thought were profound. But overall, your platform is, to me, it is a disgrace to our ancestors. It is a disgrace to, to people, to African American women who have fought this battle for way too long by themselves. And there are other guys, by the way, if anybody's watching this, R.C. Blake's, this man is bomb. He gives excellent advice, and he's not dogging black women out. Tony, I think his name is Tony Gaskins. There are some other people. Those are just the two people that come to my mind. They're classy. They are nice. You still get the same point across. You still, they don't put down the fact that you're in school, that you're bettering yourself. That you're not at the strip club, child, but you're in some library, you're getting a PhD. So I want to talk a little bit about why I have 2 masters and a doctorate. Well, I was in the library once and I read a book. It was called The Black Woman or the African American Woman. And it talked about how the African slave women were not allowed to nurse their own children because they had to save their breast milk for the slave master's children. So she had to feed her child some type of pig slop. And when I read that, I was devastated. It actually, I cried for weeks. Like, I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't believe it. And I made a promise to myself that day that I would finish school and go as far as I could for every African woman who was not allowed to breastfeed her own baby. So now I took a GED out of high school because I was, I've told this story before, but traumatized behind the church. And for a while, my life was, I was not on track. I was skipping school, and school saved my life. Learning new things saved my life. And I am a strong advocate for educating oneself, because once you are educated, it changes. They say, I don't know, there's this saying that says, if you educate a man, you educate one person, but when you educate a woman, you educate a family. But I believe it changes your perspective. It makes you a better person. It makes you a stronger person. And I think that especially in particular for African Americans, of all people in this country, in the United States of America, it just seems like everything that we've gone through to get into programs, to educate ourselves, I just can't believe that we would even cock our mouth to tell somebody to drop out of school and go have babies. That science has changed. People can have babies older in life. There is no reason why I wouldn't tell anybody to drop out of school. I think we need to tell more African American males to go to school. We need to tell them to better themselves, to pay attention to, I've said that already. I'm not good in chess. Of course, I'm not good in chess, but I know how to play, right? And there's one thing I learned is my queen was my favorite piece, because she was just so powerful. She could do anything, right? She can go any direction. She could do don't mess with my queen. And you protect your queen. And your queen is like protecting, she's protecting the king, because the king can, only make one move at a time, just one little square. And I feel like as black males, not all guys, but in generally, I think men fight dragons for women. They build worlds for women. And I feel that African American men, collectively, not all, they have forgot to protect their queen. Like, we're your queen. And I feel like until you understand the importance of protecting us, of revering us, looking out for us, not denigrating us, humiliating us, putting us down, telling us to shut up. I mean, of course we're talking. That's why we have all this education, of course. And to me, knowing that you come from our womb and that we love you and that we've just spent this time trying to protect you, but it's time for you to protect us. It's time for you to be faithful to us, to love us, to know that even though we may not come across as a damsel in distress, we need you, we want you, but don't make us put down our book. You pick up a book. Don't make us be less than so you can be more. That's all I'm asking. And I feel that any person of integrity would encourage black men, stay in school and you get the highest degree possible. You stay in school and meet us halfway. And yes, we have smart mouths, okay? But deal with it. We're your queen. Love us. Now, I'm just going to close with this because I'm really tired of talking about this because I got other things to do. And Big Shirley, Big Kevin, your jokes about Big Shirley and Big Mama. Dude, Big Shirley is fat because when you get finished taking care of the kids and your husband's on, you don't have a husband, or he's out cheating on you, or whatever he out doing, and you're taking the fatty cut of meat and you're not eating healthy because you're trying to make ends meet, and you're spending all your time, giving to your kids. That's why we big, because we're not at the gym and we don't have a man who's protecting us and taking care of us and watching over us. And but I also want to say, you pushing these, you need to be a size 4, blah, blah, blah. This is my thing. To me, this whole thing about beauty and black women, and I know you use black women as an example, but this is the thing. We have been so beat up. To me, I remember when Bo Derek came out and she had braids. Braids became a big deal. Because Bo Derek had them. They were on a white girl. The big butt didn't become a big deal until it was on Kim Kardashian, even though that's a classic build for a lot of black women, but nobody cared until it was on a white woman. People didn't care about big lips until they were on Angelina Jolie. It's like, to me, the beauty of African American women has been dissected, and it has been, as long as it's not associated with her and her skin color, as long as it's on somebody else, child, the world love it. But when it's on us, it's not that beautiful. So I don't want to hear one more thing about what size we need to be, or I feel like what we need to be is healthy. We need to not listen to people like you. Okay, we need to stay in school, and you need to tell black men to sit on that throne next to us. Listen, if you are a black guy and you're watching this, I want you to know, baby, you are our king. You are my king, and I want you on the throne next to me. I want you to stay in school, and I want you to be everything that you are meant to be. Okay, I don't want you strong in body and weak in mind. I want you're my king, darling. You are my king, and I don't want to take off my crown so we can be equal, and I don't want to step down so we can be equal. I want you to step up and be the man that God intended you to be. Thank you so much for watching.